So let's talk about the future of Kenya. But we're not going to rehash the same old narratives you hear from the political class. No. Instead, this is a deep dive into the vision of a new generation of informed, engaged citizens, people who are demanding real, fundamental change.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. It really captures the essence of what's happening on the ground. We're seeing the rise of a citizenry that is anything but passive. They're critical, they're engaged, and they are absolutely unwilling to just accept the status quo. You could say they're the main character in this story. So to really understand their vision for a better Kenya, we're going to break it down into 3 core pillars. First, we'll look at governance. Second, the economy. And third, the very fabric of society itself.
All right, let's start with governance, the actual engine of the state. The demand here isn't just for a few small tweaks around the edges. We're talking about a complete overhaul of how leadership and the government actually function.
This slide really highlights a massive shift in expectations. For way too long, politics has been like a stage show, right? Full of charismatic personalities and a lot of theater. But now, citizens are saying, we're done with the performance. They want leaders who are more like skilled managers, people focused on competence, on integrity, and on solid policies that actually solve real-world problems.
And look, you can't fix the system without confronting corruption head-on. This isn't just about talk. It's about a clear, 4-step action plan. People are demanding that anti-corruption agencies be truly independent, free from any political interference. They want transparent government purchasing, so no more backroom deals. They want aggressive asset recovery to get stolen wealth back. And, maybe most importantly, they want real consequences. The era of impunity has to end.
This quote just gets right to the heart of it. The goal is to completely change the culture, to make corruption a high-risk, low-reward game, instead of what it's been for too long, a viable way to get ahead. It requires a total redesign of the systems that have allowed it to flourish. And that brings us to this core problem, political impunity. You see, when powerful people can break the law and face zero consequences, it just completely destroys trust in the entire system. The demand is actually very simple. One law, one set of rules that applies to every single person equally. No exceptions, no excuses. This call for accountability doesn't stop at the national level either. It goes right down to the counties. Devolution held so much promise, right? Better local services, more control, but a lot of citizens feel that promise hasn't been delivered. They want their governors to act like effective managers focused on local growth and services, not like mini presidents building their own little empires. And you know, performance at that local level directly ties into what is probably the #1 concern for most Kenyans. So let's pivot to our second pillar, the economy. This is where those big policy decisions really hit home, affecting your wallet, your family, and your future.
I mean, if you were to ask anyone on the street, from a small business owner to a student, what do you think is the single biggest issue on their mind day in and day out?
Yep, it's the economy. It's the constant struggle with the cost of living. It's the search for a good job. It's the uncertainty of trying to run a business when you don't know what's coming next. This, right here, is at the very heart of the national conversation.
But here's the thing. Beyond all the frustration, there's a really clear vision for what a better economy looks like. It's a blueprint for moving away from an economy where we mostly just consume things to one where we actually produce things. This means real industrialization, modernizing our agriculture, and leaning into the future with tech and AI. It also means creating a stable, predictable business climate and making sure everyone, not just the well-connected, can get affordable credit to start a business or build a life. And then there's the elephant in the room, public debt. The questions people are asking are sharp and to the point. First up, where did all that money actually go? And it goes even deeper than that. People want to know the specifics. Which loans are we repaying? What projects were they for? They want to see the receipts, the tangible results of all that borrowing. But this is the most critical question of all. Who's on the hook for paying this back? The demand is for honesty, for expert-led economic planning, and for an end to borrowing that just mortgages the future of the next generation without showing clear benefits today. Now, to power this new kind of economy, you absolutely have to transform the education system. The focus has to shift from just memorizing facts to learning practical, real-world skills. That means a curriculum that actually works in practice, strong vocational training centers, and widespread digital literacy, from coding to AI. And of course, making sure higher education is affordable and accessible to everyone who wants it. And this quote just sums it up perfectly. The point isn't just to churn out people who are good at passing exams. The real goal is to nurture a generation of innovators, of creative problem solvers who can actually build Kenya's future.
Okay, on to our final pillar, which is all about society itself. We're talking about the essential rights and protections that have to be there for a nation to be considered just, fair, and dignified for all its people.
A healthy democracy is so much more than just voting every few years. It's about creating a space where people can speak their minds, where they can criticize their leaders, and where they can protest without fear. This means fiercely protecting free speech, guaranteeing a safe space for activism, defending an independent press, and making sure all these rights extend to our online lives too.
This quote is so powerful. It marks a shift from our civic rights to one of the most basic human rights there is, the right to health. It's a simple but profound call for a healthcare system that treats every single person with dignity and respect.
So what does a healthcare system that actually cares look like on the ground? Well, it means county hospitals that are functional and well-equipped. It means insurance reforms that are fair and transparent. And it means making universal health coverage a reality, not just a slogan, for every single family in Kenya.
So, when you pull all of these pieces together, the demand for accountable governance, a fair economy, and a just society, what does it all add up to? What's the ultimate vision? Well, it all synthesizes into one very clear concept. The ultimate goal is simply this: a Kenya that works. A country where, if you work hard, you can get ahead. Where truth matters. Where leaders actually listen and deliver on their promises. It's a vision of a nation truly built on fairness and justice, where the future is defined by innovation and opportunity for everyone.
And this vision really shows that real change isn't something that just happens on Election Day. It starts with and is sustained by informed, engaged citizens who consistently demand better. So the final question isn't really just about what our leaders will do. The bigger question is, what comes next for all of us? And what role will we play in making this vision a reality?